Many people enter relationships believing that connection is earned through performance. They try to say the right things, tell the best stories, display their achievements, or prove their value as quickly as possible. The assumption is simple. If someone is impressed enough, they will feel attracted, and if they feel attracted, a meaningful connection will follow. But genuine emotional connection rarely works that way. People may admire confidence, intelligence, success, or charisma, but admiration and emotional safety are not the same thing. A person can be impressed by someone and still feel distant from them. They can appreciate what they see on the surface while remaining guarded underneath. The strongest relationships are not built on how much someone dazzles another person. They are built on how safe both people feel when they are together. Safety is the foundation of trust. Trust is the foundation of vulnerability. And vulnerability is where real connection begins. When a woman feels emotionally safe, she doesn't have to spend energy protecting herself. She doesn't have to carefully measure every word, hide her fears, or wonder whether she will be judged for expressing what she truly thinks and feels. Instead, she can relax into authenticity. This kind of safety is not created through promises. It is created through behavior. It shows up when you listen to understand rather than listen to respond. Most people are already preparing their next point while the other person is still speaking. They are focused on being interesting rather than being interested. Yet people often remember how deeply they felt heard far more than they remember any clever thing that was said. Listening communicates something powerful. What you think matters. What you feel matters. You matter. That message creates trust. Emotional safety also comes from consistency. Anyone can be attentive when things are easy. Anyone can be supportive when they are in a good mood. The true test comes when life becomes inconvenient, stressful, or uncertain. People watch for patterns. Do your actions match your words? Are you dependable when expectations are unclear? Can your presence be trusted, or does it change depending on circumstances? Reliability creates security because it removes uncertainty. When someone knows what they can expect from you, they stop worrying about where they stand. Another important part of emotional safety is creating space for honesty. Many conversations are shaped by a hidden fear. If I reveal what I really think, will I still be accepted? When someone feels that every disagreement will become an argument, every mistake will become criticism, or every vulnerability will be used against them later, they naturally begin to hide parts of themselves. Can weakens when people feel they must perform. Can strengthens when people feel they can be real. This doesn't mean agreeing with everything she says. It means creating an environment where differing opinions can exist without threatening respect. It means showing that understanding is more important than winning. People rarely open up because they are pressured to. They open up because they feel safe enough to do so. Safety is also demonstrated through emotional maturity. When someone shares a concern, a disappointment, or a fear, the instinctive reaction is often to fix the problem immediately. While solutions can be helpful, many people first want understanding. They want to know that their emotions have been acknowledged before their challenges are analyzed. Sometimes the most powerful response is not advice. Sometimes it is presence. A calm, attentive presence communicates. You don't have to carry this alone. That feeling is difficult to measure, but impossible to forget. The irony is that many people spend enormous amounts of energy trying to appear impressive because they believe it will bring them closer to others. Yet what often brings people closest is not perfection, but trust. Trust grows when there is honesty. Trust grows when there is consistency. Trust grows when there is empathy. Trust grows when someone feels accepted rather than evaluated. Long after achievements, accomplishments, and impressive stories fade into the background, people remember how they felt around someone. They remember whether they felt respected. They remember whether they felt understood. They remember whether they could be themselves without fear. That is why emotional safety matters so much. It is not a soft skill. It is not a secondary quality. It is the environment in which every meaningful relationship grows. Before trying to prove your worth, create trust. Before trying to stand out, make the other person feel seen. Before trying to impress, make them feel safe. Because when someone feels safe enough to be fully themselves, connection stops being something that is pursued and starts becoming something that naturally develops. Many people believe relationships are strengthened by big moments. They focus on memorable dates, expensive gifts, dramatic declarations, and grand gestures that create immediate emotional impact. These moments can certainly be meaningful. They can create excitement, generate positive memories, and communicate affection in powerful ways. But lasting emotional connection is rarely built in the big moments alone. It is built in the ordinary moments that happen between them. The truth is that people do not decide whether they trust someone based on a single impressive act. Trust is formed through patterns. It is the result of seeing the same values expressed repeatedly over time. One great day can create a positive impression. Consistent behavior creates confidence, and confidence is what allows connection to deepen. Think about any strong relationship. Its strength is usually not the result of one extraordinary event. It comes from hundreds of small interactions that communicate the same message over and over again. I am here. Not only when things are easy, not only when it is convenient, not only when there is something to gain, but consistently. That consistency matters because emotional connection requires predictability. People naturally want to know where they stand. They want to know that the care, attention, and respect they experience today will not suddenly disappear tomorrow. When someone's behavior is inconsistent, uncertainty enters the relationship. One day they are attentive and engaged. The next day they seem distant and unavailable. One week they communicate clearly. The next week they disappear without explanation. Their words express commitment, but their actions create confusion. Confusion weakens trust. Not because people expect perfection, but because they struggle to build security around uncertainty. Consistency, on the other hand, reduces doubt. It creates a sense of reliability that allows people to relax. Instead of constantly evaluating the relationship, they can simply experience it. Showing up consistently does not mean being perfect every day. It means being dependable. There will be stressful days. There will be mistakes. There will be moments when energy is low and attention is divided. Consistency is not about flawless execution. It is about maintaining the same core values regardless of circumstances. People are not looking for perfection. They are looking for evidence. Evidence that your words align with your actions. Evidence that your intentions are genuine. Evidence that your presence can be trusted. This is why small actions often carry more weight than large gestures. A message asking how her day went. Remembering something important she mentioned weeks ago. Following through on a commitment. Being present during difficult conversations. Checking in when she is facing challenges. These actions may seem ordinary. They may not create dramatic stories. Yet they communicate something far more valuable than temporary excitement. They communicate reliability. And reliability is one of the strongest signals of care. Anyone can show up when they feel inspired. Anyone can be attentive when emotions are high and everything feels exciting. The real measure of commitment appears when the novelty fades and effort becomes a choice rather than a feeling. This is where many relationships succeed or fail. In the beginning, consistency often happens naturally because enthusiasm is abundant. Over time, however, life becomes busier. Responsibilities increase. Distractions multiply. The relationship begins to compete with countless other demands. At that point, consistency becomes intentional. It becomes a reflection of priorities. People notice where attention goes. They notice who follows through. They notice who remains present when circumstances become complicated. And over time, those observations shape trust. Trust is not built from what someone says they will do. Trust is built from what they repeatedly do. Every fulfilled promise strengthens confidence. Every act of dependability reinforces security. Every moment of follow-through becomes another piece of evidence that the relationship rests on something solid. This is particularly important during difficult times. Anyone can be supportive when life is going well. Challenges reveal the true character of a relationship. When disappointment, uncertainty, stress, or hardship appear, people pay close attention to who remains present. Support during those moments communicates something profound. It says, my commitment is not dependent on perfect circumstances. That message creates emotional stability. And emotional stability creates deeper connections. The most meaningful relationships often feel secure, not because they are free from problems, but because both people trust that challenges will be faced together rather than alone. Consistency creates that confidence. It turns affection into trust. It turns attraction into security. It turns good intentions into believable actions. Over time, the impact of consistency becomes cumulative. Each small act may seem insignificant by itself, but together they create a powerful foundation. Like individual bricks forming a structure, repeated actions gradually build something strong enough to withstand pressure. That is why consistency should never be underestimated. The things that create lasting connection are often simple. They are rarely dramatic. They do not always attract attention. Yet they matter enormously. Because emotional connection is not built through occasional moments of excellence. It is built through repeated moments of dependability. People may remember a grand gesture for a few days. They remember consistency for a lifetime. The strongest relationships are not defined by how spectacular someone can be once in a while. They are defined by how reliably they show up day after day. When your actions consistently reflect your values, trust grows naturally. When trust grows, emotional connection deepens. And when emotional connection deepens, the relationship gains something far more valuable than excitement alone. It gains stability. And stability is what allows love, trust, and connection to endure long after the extraordinary moments have passed. One of the deepest human desires is the desire to be understood. Not admired, not evaluated, not compared. Understood, every person carries a story that the world rarely sees in full. There are experiences that shape them, challenges they overcame, fears they rarely discuss, dreams they quietly protect, and values that guide their decisions. Yet much of life encourages people to focus on what is visible rather than what is meaningful. We ask people what they do before we ask who they are. We notice achievements before we notice character. We celebrate outcomes before we understand the journey behind them. As a result, many people spend years feeling recognized for what they produce while remaining unseen for who they truly are. This is why emotional connection becomes so powerful when someone feels genuinely seen. To feel seen is to feel that another person understands more than your surface level identity. It is knowing that someone notices not only your strengths, but also your struggles. Not only your successes, but also the effort behind them. Not only the version of yourself that everyone sees, but the version that exists when no one is watching. That kind of understanding creates closeness because it satisfies a need that many people rarely experience. People often assume connection comes from talking more. In reality, connection often comes from understanding more. There is a difference. A conversation can last for hours without creating intimacy. At the same time, a single thoughtful observation can make someone feel deeply understood. The difference is attention. Most people listen for information. Few listen for meaning. When a woman talks about her goals, fears, frustrations, or experiences, there's usually more beneath the words than the words themselves. The surface level details matter, but the emotions behind them often matter even more. What excites her, what motivates her, what makes her feel fulfilled, what makes her feel discouraged, what values influence her decisions. What experiences shaped her perspective? Questions like these move beyond facts and into understanding. And understanding is where emotional connection grows. Helping someone feel seen begins with genuine curiosity. Not curiosity designed to impress, not curiosity used to gain approval, genuine curiosity. The kind that seeks understanding simply because understanding matters. When people sense authentic curiosity, they feel valued. They feel that their thoughts and experiences are worth exploring. They feel that they are more than a role, a title, or a collection of accomplishments. They feel important. This does not require constant questioning. In fact, it often requires something much simpler, paying attention. People reveal themselves continuously through small details. They reveal what matters to them through the stories they tell repeatedly. They reveal their priorities through where they invest their time. They reveal their values through what frustrates them, inspires them, and moves them emotionally. The challenge is that these signals are easy to miss when attention is focused primarily on ourselves. When attention shifts toward understanding another person, those details become visible. And when those details are remembered, something remarkable happens. People feel seen, remembering something she mentioned weeks ago, recognizing a challenge she has been working through. Acknowledging an achievement that others overlooked, understanding why a particular issue matters to her. These moments communicate a powerful message. I see you. Not the public version, not the polished version. The real version. That message creates trust because it demonstrates care. Many people feel lonely even when surrounded by others because being around people is not the same as being understood. Someone can receive attention without receiving understanding. They can receive compliments without feeling known. Understanding goes deeper. It requires empathy. Empathy is the willingness to step into another person's perspective, even when their experiences differ from your own. It is the choice to understand before evaluating, to learn before assuming. When empathy is present, conversations become less about proving a point and more about discovering a perspective. That shift changes relationships. People become more open when they feel understood. They become more honest when they feel accepted. They become more connected when they feel seen. Importantly, helping someone feel seen does not mean idealizing them. Real connection is not built on perfection. It is built on acceptance. Seeing someone fully means recognizing both strengths and weaknesses. It means appreciating who they are without demanding that they become someone else to earn respect or affection. Many people spend much of their lives feeling pressure to perform, impress, or meet expectations. They adapt themselves to fit environments, relationships, and social norms. Over time, they may begin to wonder whether others value them for who they are or merely for what they provide. A relationship becomes emotionally meaningful when that question begins to disappear. When someone feels accepted, they no longer need to hide important parts of themselves. They can express their thoughts more honestly. They can share their fears more openly. They can bring more of their authentic self into the relationship. That authenticity creates intimacy, and intimacy creates connection. At its core, helping a woman feel seen is not about saying the perfect thing. It is not about having all the answers. It is not about demonstrating extraordinary insight. It is about making the choice day after day to understand before being understood, to listen beyond the words, to notice what others overlook, to value who she is beneath appearances, accomplishments, and expectations. Because people rarely remember every conversation they had, they rarely remember every compliment they received, but they remember the people who made them feel understood. They remember the people who saw something deeper than what was visible on the surface, and they remember the rare feeling of being accepted for who they truly are. When a woman feels genuinely seen, emotional connection stops feeling forced. Trust grows naturally. Walls begin to lower. Conversations become more meaningful. The relationship gains depth, because few gifts are more powerful than helping another human being feel understood, valued, and seen for who they truly are.